It is too small, however, to land more than 8 helicopters at a time. With each chopper able to carry only about 6 men, it will take several hours to get all 450 soldiers on the ground.
Any commander's fear in a case like that, if you land and you've only got a few of your troops, less than 100, and the enemy comes on you, you're in a bind. If you go down, the LZ is the landing zone is closed, and whoever's in there dies.
At 10:19 a.m., Firebase Falcon, 5 miles from the landing zone, lets loose a vicious barrage of artillery into the enemy positions. The 28-minute onslaught is meant to clear the LZ so the helicopters can land safely. At 10:35 a.m., the first U.S. choppers lift off and begin the 13-minute flight to the landing zone. Four miles outside of LZ X-ray, the choppers drop to treetop level. In front of them lays a landscape of smoke and exploding U.S. ordnance. The barrage is intricately timed to stop just 1 minute before the soldiers hit the ground. If the timing is off by even a few seconds, they will risk being hit with their own artillery.
Bravo Company is sweeping the area around the LZ. So far, all is quiet. Already, the choppers are delivering the second load of soldiers. Everything seems to be going according to plan until 11:15 a.m. Bravo's first platoon captures a single, unarmed NVA soldier. He's immediately taken to the command center for interrogation. At 11:20, the prisoner makes an incredible revelation. He tells the interpreter there are 3 full battalions of North Vietnamese soldiers on the mountain, and that all of them want very much to kill Americans. It's unbelievable. 3 battalions, that's almost 1,600 soldiers. No one can believe what they're hearing. We've got less than 200 men on the ground, meaning we're outnumbered 8-1.
Roger, say again.
Within minutes, U.S. and North Vietnamese forces are locked in vicious combat. While the men on the ground desperately attempt to keep the North Vietnamese from overrunning the LZ, the pilots of the 1st Cavalry continue to ferry in the remainder of the 450 men amid a vicious torrent of enemy bullets and rockets.
There are things about battle that movies cannot teach you, and that is the true, horrendous noise of battle. Bullets cracking, bombs landing, artillery shells exploding, people screaming. It's just a cacophony that's almost deafening.
After nearly 8 hours of battle, casualties are mounting and supplies are running low. But with night fast approaching, all further landings must be called off until dawn. The 450 battered Americans are on their own and will have to survive the night in the face of an overwhelming enemy.
Last night, the enemy launched several small attacks against our lines. The dead still lay where they were killed. It's too dangerous to try and move them.
Joe Galloway is the only correspondent at Landing Zone X-Ray. Of the 450 soldiers on the battlefield, 85 are already dead or wounded. Those still alive are desperately in need of ammunition and supplies.
Word is that reinforcements are going to try and land a few miles away and try to fight their way over to us. God, I hope they make it.
At the base of the Chupong Mountain are nearly 1,600 enemy soldiers. A few hundred yards in front of them stands only a thin line of Americans, pounded and exhausted from nearly 24 hours of constant fighting. The enemy's sporadic attacks during the night were to determine the most vulnerable points in the U.S. lines. Now they know the best way to breach them, and they are preparing to put this knowledge to use.
Yeah, down that way, and especially all the compounds, like all the entrances to the compound.
At 6:50 a.m., 200 NVA soldiers hit C Company's 1st and 2nd platoons. Company Commander Bob Edwards is shot through the shoulder, leading his men in a counterattack. His XO, Lieutenant Arrington, runs up to assist, but within minutes he is also shot, right through the chest. The enemy is within 75 yards of their lines. Some of the men are down to hand-to-hand combat. At 7:15, NVA soldiers hit Delta Company, right where they connect with Charlie Company. The line is starting to break down.
And finally, Colonel Moore looked at the Air Force liaison lieutenant, Charlie Hastings. Moore looks at him and says, "Call Broken Arrow." Broken Arrow was a code at that time, meant that an American unit was in dire danger of being overrun and wiped out. And when that call was given, every available fighter bomber in Vietnam diverted to that place to deliver their bombs. It was about then that I heard Colonel Moore yelling, "Get him off of us, Charlie. Get him off of us. Call that SOB off." And I looked up, and there are two F-100 Super Sabre jets like this. They're coming directly at us. The lead plane has already punched the pickle switch and will turn loose canisters of napalm. Hal was trying to stop the second guy from dumping his on us. But unfortunately for 2 or 3 engineer demolition guys, they were right in the path. And in that flame, I could see these 2 men dancing and screaming.
Should be Chalk 40, 39er just pulled out. Roger, that's what I was trying to confirm. Yeah, this is 40 in Helsing.
Sitting here, watching the last grisly moments of this battle.
UPI reporter Joe Galloway is surveying the aftermath at Landing Zone X-ray in the Drang Valley.
A young specialist named Arthur Vieira is bleeding from wounds all over his body. The most serious is a bullet hole right through his throat. The battalion surgeon, Captain Carrera, performs an emergency tracheotomy. A few yards away is Clinton Poley, farm boy from Iowa. He took grenade, shrapnel, and gunshot wounds, but never left his post at one of the M60s that kept the 2nd Platoon alive. These are some of the bravest, most dedicated soldiers I have ever seen.
Despite the friendly fire incident, the close-in bombing support from U.S. aircraft succeeded in pushing the enemy back and allowed the Americans to regain the offensive. America's first major battle with the North Vietnamese has ended in victory.